The much-maligned Philly quarterback was there when they needed him most. What does last night mean for the season's final 3 weeks? Plus, it's not a decision the NFL will have to make, but we will today. Which of the next 2 number 1 overall picks would you rather have on your team? And the Patriots acknowledge videotaping an opposing sideline, say it was an innocent mistake. Do you believe them? We'll tell you everything there is to know on this edition of Get Up from New York. We start right now. The rain has stopped. It was pouring yesterday in Philadelphia. Monday Night Football was there. Mr. Feinbaum is here. Desmond Howard has made his way back to our studio. But we begin with Dan Orlovsky's favorite person in the world who does not share his last name.
Here we go.
And that is Carson Wentz, looking to snap a 3-game losing streak in a critical Monday night matchup with Eli Manning and the Giants, and the Manning family was there cheering him on.
And good for Eli. I mean, just the professionalism he has shown this year, handling the whole situation and coming out hot. Greeny, I love this ball placement to Slayton. On the back shoulder on purpose on that slant allows him to catch, spin out of the tackle, and score for the Giants.
Manning's family is pumped. The Giants have an early 7-0 lead. Meanwhile, the Eagles, the last thing they could afford, more injuries. You will see Alshon Jeffrey and Lane Johnson hurt.
Well, this is a big one, right? Because you only had 3 receivers to go into this game, but this is the biggest one. Lane Johnson is the most important person on this football team outside of Carson Wentz. His injury moving forward will be a big impact on their season.
They are a mash unit. Now it's 10-3 late in the first half, and it's Slayton again for a touchdown.
Just terrible coverage. They're double teaming Slayton, both the corner and the safety. He runs through him. Eli sees it, and just a beautiful ball downfield. And all of a sudden I'm thinking, we're never going to hear about Daniel Jones again.
17-3. Giants at the half. Eli threw for $179 in the first 30 minutes. Fourth quarter, under 5 to go. Eagles are down 7, 4th and 1 in their own territory, and they're going for it.
I love this call. I love the aggression. They did this a couple times. They got to follow their big offensive line, their 6'5" quarterback.
Keeping the drive alive. And then how about this catch from J.J. Arcega-Whiteside?
Yeah, this is big time because he doesn't do a great job on the route, but credit him. This is an outstanding catch up over the shoulder when they needed it. Great ball by Carson Wentz and hand-eye coordination.
Speaking of needing it, they needed this drive badly, and they would go to the big fellows. This is Dallas Goedert to the red zone, and then to his favorite target, Zach Ertz.
I love this play design. Put the ball in the hash, little play fake. And under pressure, someone coming down, barreling on Carson Wentz. The ball placement was outstanding.
We go to overtime. Eagles get it first. A touchdown wins it. A field goal doesn't. And this is Boston Scott. What a night he had.
No, it's not. It's Darren Sproles' look-alike. Really impactful performance for him. Get the ball in the perimeter, a little cut. This was a big story for him tonight.
16 touches, 128 yards. 1st and 10 at the Giant 39. Wentz finding Josh Perkins for a first down. Now they're in business, and they're looking to put it away.
Why would you cover the best player on the offense? The only guy that they throw the football to. Zach Ertz, a little motion down. You're going to see him going to outside release. The defense loses sight of him. And this is a play that Carson Wentz has brought over from his college days, North Dakota State. A massive finish for the quarterback in this Eagles offense.
He threw for 325. Eli never got the ball in overtime. Eagles win.
We got no choice but to keep it going. You know, we're going to use this one. This obviously it was a sloppy one, but we got to win. You know, and now hopefully this springboards us for these last 3, and we just take it one game at a time and see what happens.
You know, it's a lot of boos, a lot of everything, a lot of y'all writing headlines before we even won the game. You know what I'm saying? Because wasn't that 3 straight? 3 straight we lost already? Yep. Yeah, so 4 straight wouldn't have looked good in Philly. I was scared to walk outside, boy, if we'd have lost this one.
Philly's offense looked like it was headed for that 4th straight loss, but then they dominated their final 5 possessions. They averaged just 12.7 yards a drive on their first 9 series, but then increased that to nearly 60 without a single 3-and-out. So when they desperately needed it, their quarterback got the job done. And if you watch this show regularly, then you're like me. When Carson Wentz found a way to win that game last night, the first person I thought of was Dan Orlovsky.
I sent out a tweet, actually. I was like, that's the most important win. And a buddy of mine, Will Blackman, was like, no, that was the most important win for you. That was the biggest win of Carson Wentz's career. It was the most important win of Carson Wentz's career. And it was the most needed win of Carson Wentz's career because the 3-game losing streak, how that offense looked, all the decimation of injuries, and then the money that's been paid to him. And it was almost like the performance wasn't necessarily going to matter. It was going to be about the pride, the professional pride, and the questions of, can you bring people along? Can you elevate people? He's playing in a driving rainstorm with guys that no one's ever heard of, and can you be the difference? And it was the style of play that impressed me. Like, he didn't try to put on the cape and be Superman. He was willing to make some checkdowns, make some easy throws, and trust some people around him. This is a little bit different than the Carson Wentz that we've seen in the past, where he tries to do everything himself. For him to show that maturity last night, that's why, to me, it was the most impressive win of his career, and they needed it.
Yeah, well, they do this with Greg Ward as their only healthy wide receiver and Boston Scott as their running back. Yeah. You think this does a lot for their team going forward, just from a mental standpoint? Even?
Laura, that was a huge win. You know, I text Drew Gallagher. He works for ESPN, probably the biggest Philadelphia sports fan you will ever see at ESPN, right? I said, Drew, that win can galvanize your team. You know why? Because you had everything against you. Right in the first quarter, you lose your top receiver, Alshon Jeffrey. He goes down with a mysterious injury. You're struggling. Eli Manning is out there. He's playing unbelievable football. Yeah. The Giants are rolling. Your defense don't have an answer for Eli. Not only is it raining precipitation, but it's raining boos, right? Your own home crowd is against you. You had every reason to fold your tent, but they didn't throw in the towel. Doug Peterson, his staff, did a tremendous job of circling the wagons. It's us against the world. We're going to go out there. We're going to systematically fight our way into this game. I'm telling you, Greeny, at one point, I wanted to text Booger, who was calling the game, say, hey, pump your brakes on talking about if I were the fans, I would boo too, because I think this team has some hope. They can fight and get back in this game, and they did.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I was a massive wrestling fan, right? Watching that Eagles game last night was like watching The Undertaker. You know, laying on the ground, he's dead, lifeless, and all of a sudden he comes to life. Yeah. And that's what it was like watching them in the second half. It was like a play, and you were like, okay, there's some life.
Right.
Listen, I was excited, and I'm not even an Eagles fan.
Okay, so but let's step back for just one brief moment. The New York Giants have made a lot of quarterbacks look good this year. I'm not trying to take anything away from your moment, but the
Mark has told you to say this stuff.
No. The Giants defense has made a lot of quarterbacks look good this year, and let's face it, the Giants are terrible. Right. So for the Eagles to beat them, I'm not taking anything away. It's a win. They needed to win it. It's way better than losing. Right. But the reality is, as you watch them play right now, with the injuries and everything else, is that a playoff team? I mean, is that a team you think 3 weeks from now is going to be and should be in the NFL playoffs?
Yes. I've said it since week one. And I would say that I feel more confident about it last night or after last night than I did 4 days ago. I'm talking about the style of play that this football team, the style of play that the quarterback showed, that he was willing to play a little bit different. And he was willing to put everyone on his back and be like, I'll be the difference. The coaching staff was great. Imagine being Doug Peterson, going into that game and having a game plan and then going, okay, Alshon, you're not part of it anymore. Now I only have 2 receivers. Our right tackle's done. Okay, what can we do? And then you're the receivers coach, and another guy goes down, you're like, well, we have 4 plays we can choose from.
Get the ball to Boston Scott.
Yeah.
It's going to be the unsung hero.
And so,
this kid.
to Desmond's point, like, Des, you said it. That can galvanize.
Oh, man.
That's not just wordplay.
Right.
That is legit. When you walk into that locker room, and now you're the quarterback, you can walk into that locker room, you can, like, walk in proud with your chest up and being like, you guys wanted it, and I did it for us, right?
Okay, who do you trust more right now, though, the Eagles or the Cowboys, if we're talking about this division?
Absolutely the Eagles. Are you?
My man!
Yes, sir. Yeah. Okay. After last night's victory, I'm telling you, that locker room after that game was probably almost like they felt as though they won a playoff game. It was a big monkey off their back. I know it was the Giants, so it's not about the team, it's about the circumstances you had to overcome.
Listen, this week of the National Football League season began on national television with the Cowboys, and it ended with the Eagles. And the impression that I received from having watched both of those games is that the playoffs should move on without the NFC East. I've never in my life been in favor of making a change as much as I am watching those two teams play.
It's like the number 1 team stinks, the number 2 team stinks a little bit more, the number 3 team really stinks, and then the 4th team is like, eh.
The number 3 team at one point I thought might be the worst team in the history of the NFL.
And they're probably the best team.
They weren't even
mathematically
mathematically eliminated until this past weekend. All right, so that's where it began last night. Now let's get to the story of the day yesterday because it's confusing. The New England Patriots have acknowledged that a production crew they sent to Cleveland inappropriately filmed the sideline and the field during Sunday's game against the Bengals. The Patriots did not inform the Bengals or the NFL. They called that an unintended oversight. Here was Bill Belichick addressing the matter yesterday.
Well, evidently, this is our production people on the TV show that were there. We have absolutely nothing to do with anything that they produce, direct, or shoot or anything. I've never even seen any of their tapes or anything else. So this is something that we 100% have zero involvement with. I don't have anything to do with TV productions or anything else. I have enough other stuff to do. And so